By viewing this shit you are agreeing to commit intellectual suicide. You won't be considered a normal functioning monster and instead be viewed as a typical neckbeard whose neckbeard has neckbeards who neckbeards has neckbeards. It will also be heavily offensive to the easily triggered. Now let's begin. Butter a Coco Bandicoot story. When I was born I lived in a cold hard cage that was rough. The only other person inside the cage was my big brother Crash. He kept me happy but I wish I could talk to Crash. He couldn't speak a word. I felt lonely at times because of that. The man that kept us here was the nefarious Dr. Cortex who looked like a hammer. He was mean to us and his assistant Embryo. He even sent his skunk minions to walk back and forth for the rest of their days. Embryo simply did what he was told, for he actually wanted to tend bars but was forced into this life because of his looks. The day Crash escaped was the day I was all alone. I know what loneliness does after the Rooparoo incident, so I was afraid I would end up like him, tied and forced into madness, not being able to control myself like him. Then later during the week Crash was coming back for me and Torna. We don't talk about Torna, but I didn't know that at the time, so I cried. I knew Cortex would shut me up sooner or later, so I might as well let it out now. But Embryo gave me something wonderful, something yellow, something slippery yet solid, made the cage smooth not rough, and it tasted sweet. Don't be so perverted, not even I would do that. Butter. It was so simple yet. Sorry, I was brain dead for a couple seconds there. This story is so stupid it's physically killing me now. Where was I? Oh yeah. Delightful that my pain went away. Later that night I discovered I can slip through the bars if I cover myself in butter. It was a success and I began my escape with my butter in hand. I used it to slide across large jumps, distract the guards, electrify the security. As I was getting to the floors below I found Crash, who came back for me, and Torna. We agreed to blow the place, to light the place up in flames, or I think we did, so I used my butter to break all the mechanisms in the fortress. It was a success and we escaped on the blimp as Crash battled Cortex on top, but sadly Torna, while on the blimp, wasn't on the blimp. A few years later we built a home on Sanity Beach. I didn't like the sand, it was coarse and rough and gets stuck in my fur unlike butter. I spent most of my time looking at butter, reading about butter and ordering tons of butter on my laptop. Crash didn't know he respects my privacy. Also I didn't want to admit my obsession with butter to him as I feared he wouldn't understand and shun me for it. After 2 other times of Cortex trying to ruin our lives, I had a dream of a land filled with butter. I could feel all of it, how it made me slip and slide with its sweet taste and warm color, but something was wrong. The butter melted around me, forming an ocean, and something came out of the ocean. A creature built of dying creatures hooked together on a metallic skeleton with looking straight at me with teeth made out of sharpened bone and eyes made out of more eyes, all dead, focused on me. It walked towards me with a giant grin, chanting freak 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 freak. I tried to run away but the butter slowed me down. As it drew closer I could see that the creatures were alive and operating it like a well-oiled machine, saying that I don't belong and that I should be taken away. When it reaches me, giant scythes on its back that moved like snakes snagged my flesh as I could feel the pain and brought me face to face with the creature. I tried not to look but smaller scythes kept my eyes wide open. You are twisted, you are broken, you will do nothing but harm others, it said as it flung me into a cage and pushed me into the butter ocean. I couldn't breathe and soon blacked out. When I woke up I was so scared I didn't know what happened, and it just kept happening for a few nights, every one more intense, and it felt more and more, and I just don't know why, and it just kept repeating every night until it hit me. I was getting caught because of the butter, it was slowing me down, it was killing me. So I burned all the butter I had, and that night I had no nightmares, just one nice dream. Everything was fine, but there was this hole in my life, and every time I saw butter all my basic instincts told me to get it, but I resisted. But I never stopped thinking about it. Like some you that isn't real but you love with all your heart is looming over you. After a year Cortex tried to use a stronger, better version of Crash known as Crunch against us. Crunch instead turned on Cortex and then Crunch moved in with us. Before the great redesigning, one day Crunch was preparing breakfast as usual until I noticed a familiar scent in the air. It was butter. I haven't been around it for so long, and after dreaming about it for so long I just needed to have it. I took it and hid under my bed, savoring every moment as if it's my last. Oh look, it's my liver. It appears to have fallen out of my rectum because of how toxic this stupidity is. Why couldn't I just stop at the title? Of course Crunch found me. I thought he was gonna shun me for my obsession. Crunch, Coco, what are you doing, fool? Coco, nothing, I whimpered. Crunch, well it appears you are holding on to my butter, fool. Coco, no, it's my butter, I screamed at the top of my lungs. He was shocked at my sudden burst of anger. Crunch, Coco, is there something you need to tell us, fool? I simply stayed curled in a ball with my butter. Crunch pulled me out and sat me upright on a chair. Crunch, Coco, do you have a butter problem, fool? Coco, well, it's not that bad. Crunch, to me you're behaving like butter is the only thing that matters, fool. Coco, aren't you gonna shun me now? Crunch, of course not, I just want to help you with your problem, fool. Coco, you wouldn't understand what I have to go through, the fear of being bullied and teased because of it. You don't understand the urge I get, you don't understand anything I have to deal with. Crunch, well, you know this robotic arm I used to be all over these cybernetic enhancements. I wanted all of them, but if I did I wouldn't be able to control myself, but I still wanted them until I got my arm. I could do things I couldn't before, like hurling boulders or writing, so this arm was all I wanted and I was fine with that because really need, fool. I looked at the butter wondering, do I really need butter? Crunch, what I'm trying to say is you can like something on a level not a lot of people do, but you don't have to obsess over it, fool. Coco. Crunch, well, I'll leave you with your butter, fool. He walked away, closing the door behind him. Hold on, I need to refresh my mind. That was a good bleaching. I just sat there looking at the butter wondering what to do. I want to go back to the way it was, but if I do I could get those tormenting nightmares. The butter tempts me, but the nightmares repulse me. I asked the great Aku Aku for guidance. Aku Aku, child, you shouldn't be ashamed. We magical masks have seen many strange traditions and people throughout the years that seem nothing unlike that. Anyone who that doesn't understand finds sick and twisted that in reality. Coco, but my obsession is sick, it is twisted and it's bringing harm to me. Aku Aku, are you referring to the nightmares you had about that creature? Coco, yes, but why is it there? Why is it like this, and why did it stop after I get rid of the butter? Aku Aku, my best is that you made it to convince yourself to stop your obsession so that you can be normal. It's something only you can change. Coco, but it isn't like that. When it hits me it hurts me in real life. I wake up from extreme pain caused in the nightmares. Aku Aku, you are hurting yourself by trying to suppress your urges. If you want it to stop you need to face this creature alone. He then flew away to tend to magical mask duties. That night for the first time I dreamed about butter. It was wonderful, but I knew it would come for me, and soon enough it did. It charged at me, but I didn't run. I knew I couldn't escape. It was locked onto me with all its eyes. I thought I was in for a lot of pain, but I faced it, looking straight into its eyes, seeing what its true intention was. But before it could flatten me, it stopped, just staring at me as if it wanted something from me. Why aren't you running? It screamed, still staring into my eyes as if it wanted to indeterminate me. I took a step forward and it took a step. Then I knew it was afraid of me just because of my liking to butter. I keep walking towards it as it backed away until it ran off into the darkness. I woke up confused as to why it exists and what it represents, but now I could freely enjoy my butter without having to be afraid. The end.